What's going on, guys? This is the second episode of Gasp, Gossip, the podcast where the team members, I can't even talk today, good Lord. The team members of Gasp get together, we go over our experiences, why we got into this, what we like doing, what we don't like doing, what our purpose is, and we share that with you guys in a more laid-back setting. So, you know me from the first episode, I am Dakota. I have with me one of my other trusty sidekicks. We call him #SexyBitch because that's what he is. But this is Vandon. He is a camera person, and he is also one of our tech specialists that are on the show with us. Vandon, it's fantastic having you here today.
Thank you.
You look high.
I'm not.
I know.
I'm not.
I know, but I love it. So, getting into a little bit about Gasp, what a lot of people getting into paranormal, it's not just something that you just wake up with and be like, oh, wait, sorry. That was still terrible. But you don't usually do that and get straight into paranormal like, oh, this is something that interests me. So what, like, let's go back to your childhood. That's whenever most of it happens, right? So let's go back. What got you into paranormal?
Well, it started at a very early age for me because unlike most, I see and hear and experience things that other people just don't. I am, on that side, I am a medium, and
Now explain to us a little bit about, just for the viewers that don't know, what exactly is a medium?
A medium can be in a range of things. Different mediums experience different things in different ways. But most of the time, when you experience mediumship, it's probably going to be someone who speaks to the dead, can hear, experience what they experience. Some can even feel what they felt at the time of their death, or just experience some of their life from just what the spirit shows you. And we can touch more on that later without going into a whole spiel about it, because it gets very complicated very fast.
We'll get into it as we get into more episodes of the podcast. We will definitely get into that way more in depth. I'm sorry, I had a cough and it just suddenly stopped. So I think something here is playing with me because it just suddenly stopped. But you've always mentioned to me, because you and me growing up, I cannot talk today. I apologize for me. Sorry. But growing up, you and me grew up very, very close. We're not like, we're cousins by technical terms, but we're actually brothers. I mean, we grew up together. So having somebody like me who doesn't necessarily believe in every aspect of paranormal, and having somebody like you who's actually a medium, who's able to see, communicate. We saw a little bit of that Friday in our investigation, a little bit of teachers coming up in that a little bit later in the show. But how is it to where people, how do you deal with the, trying to think of the word, yes, about the skepticism about it. Like, how do you deal with people like, oh, I think that's just stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, that sort of thing. How do you deal with that, especially at such a young age? Because I guarantee you it started back whenever you were
my earliest memory of ever experiencing a spirit was, and this sounds ridiculous, but I guarantee a lot of mediums out there will tell you, when you're a child and you experience this, you don't really equate what's happening. It's just really scary. And as you grow older, you start to get to where you're like, okay, it's not as scary. But my earliest experience was I would have spirits walk into my room and walk around my bed. And
that's creepy as hell.
yeah, because you don't understand that.
That's creepy as hell.
You don't understand that they're not tangible to other people. It freaks you out. It really does.
Especially at such a young age. I could only
imagine. I would get very, very scared. And I would go and I would crawl under my mother's bed. Because that's what you do as a child. You seek the most comfort you can.
Exactly.
And they would follow me. And I would watch them move around my mother's bed. And
But you felt more safe because you had your mother there with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I ended up feeling much more comfortable to where I could actually sleep. And that's one of the things that really started with it. And that's where I started to connect the dots when I was about 15, 16, somewhere in there, that this isn't going away. This is something I'm going to have to deal with. And
so why not use it for the good?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It comes down to just what and how you experience things, and I just have a different experience than most. And dealing with skepticism, I can't say that I've never had somebody just be mean to me because I'm a medium. They might not believe in it, but it's one of those things where you just don't see the world as I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. For lack of a better way to explain it, it's like someone who's colorblind.
Exactly.
They don't see color as you do, but that does not make them, crazy. For what, like red and yellow, or red and blue, I think, red and green is something like that, color blindness. They experience colors in a different way than normal people do, and I just experience the world in a different way than other people do.
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to the aspect of what we touched in, me and Brad did about in the very first episode about keeping an open mind. Because there's been so many conversations that you and me have had, and I would start kind of being closed-minded, and you would be like, hey, in all respect, that's not fair. Because, we as humans, right, we know a good bit of knowledge if you look at the overall basis of everything. But I saw a presentation, and this man went up and he drew a circle on a whiteboard, right? And he asked somebody, he asked the crowd, he picked out somebody from the crowd, and he said, okay, how much about everything that could possibly be known do you think you know? Mm-hmm. And they gave him a little scribble. He said, that's actually a lot. And so he looks at him and he says, so you know everything out here exists, you just haven't discovered it yet. Mm-hmm. It exists, you just don't know about it yet. So again, I think it goes back to kind of that aspect. Mm-hmm. So getting back into your childhood, there was something that happened when I was staying at your house.
Yes.
You know exactly where I'm going with this. So since you know where I'm going with it, why don't you pick up the story?
Okay, so we were like your average boys. We wanted to spend time with each other, so we'd have...
Spend the night all the time.
Yeah, exactly. We'd spend the night with each other. We've always been very close. And one night, he came over to my home and spent the night, and it was, I want to say around 11 o'clock. He was already half asleep. And I usually, because back then, when you deal with spirits, they talk to you. It doesn't matter if you're asleep or not. So they would wake you up, and they would talk to you in your sleep. And so I would keep a radio or some kind of sound going that would soothe my mind and help me sleep. Well, he did not, he doesn't deal with that. He likes it quiet.
Very much.
So I would unplug my radio when he was over, and I would have a rough time sleeping, but I love my brother enough that I wouldn't have a problem with that. And so I would unplug it.
Well, you have to think also, this was back in 2007, 2008.
Oh,
you had the plug-in radios. You had the set stations that would be with every button. You would have, one. It's like in your old-time cars. That's what kind of radio this was.
And it really was. It was a radio boombox kind of thing. And
during the day, we loved it. But at night, I had to have it quiet.
And I would unplug it. Well, normally when I run it, I'd have a CD or something in it. Mm-hmm. Well, I unplugged it because he was over. It was late at night. He was asleep. And all of a sudden, my radio boombox clicks on. And it starts playing the CD that I last had in it. Well, I had taken that CD out. And it was still unplugged. And it was playing. And he woke up and he was like, I thought you unplugged it. And I said, I did. And we both examined the plug and everything. It was still off. It was still unplugged. And
Very much.
it was still playing this song, and he was like, nope.
I was like, I'm not sleeping in here anymore.
He was like, no.
Hard negative.
And so, in the end, eventually it stopped.
Scared the shit out of me, though.
And...
Oh, sorry. Foul language. Scared the living crap out of me, though.
Eventually it stopped, and we got back to sleep. But after that, there were quite a few nights and stuff that I would want him to come over and spend the night. He's like, no, you could stay at my house.
Yeah,
You're staying with me. I'm not going back over there.
Exactly. So I remember that vividly whenever it comes up between you and me just in conversation about the paranormal.
And I think that's where some people with skepticism who are skeptics get unskepticized.
When you have
become a believer.
Yeah, when you have experiences like that, it definitely opens your eyes.
Because a lot of people say, if I can't hear it, see it, touch it, it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And that's something that a lot of people would get stuck in. If, simply put, if I can't experience it normally, then it doesn't exist. It's not there. And that's where you start having people... Because if you ever watch ghost shows everywhere will be like, I used to be a skeptic and then this happened. And I can't explain it. And I'm like, that's where you get where you still may not believe in it, but you're no longer a skeptic. You're more open-minded about it.
You literally just described me to a T.
Mm-hmm. And it comes down from the experiences you have. For instance, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, all mediums out there, but generally speaking, spirits, if they want to be heard, they'll come to you. And that's what happens when you live with somebody who draws in spirits, because they know if you can see and hear them. They know. And they'll be like, oh, I can talk to that person. They can see me. They can interact. And they're like, okay, listen to me, here's my story. And sometimes they can be very pushy about you wanting to listen to them. But that's when someone who's a skeptic would go in and live with someone who's a medium and be like, okay, this is weird.
Oh, for sure. Well, you had 2 mediums in your house because...
Yes, my mother is also a medium. It runs in our family.
You'll meet her again in later podcasts, but for right now, yeah, that's it's opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. So, anyways, getting through that, we know we've answered the question already of what me and Brene went over spirituality, what we believe, what we don't believe, and I know your main goal, because you're part of the team, is we're going to go in and we're going to try to find reasonable explanations for everything.
Mm-hmm.
As we showed in the last podcast with the K2, we showed how easily you could BS a K2.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell the viewers and everybody a little bit about your views about people, speaking that you're a medium, how does it make you feel when you see people faking certain things just to get views whenever it's not real? Do you find that like a form of disrespectful, or are you okay with it? Or you're like, okay, that's them, this is us, this is me. How do you feel about that?
I never condone faking evidence, and here's why. Sometimes, yes, it can be offensive to a medium in some ways, some forms, some fashions, because we live that life. We walk the edge. We talk to them. We experience them.
Yeah.
And when you fake that just for views or for the public, it kind of downgrades what we do. It makes a mockery. But you also have to think in a different aspect. Okay, if there is a spirit around you and you're, oh, look at this, it's fake. They're going off, how offensive that has to be to the dead.
Oh, very much.
Because
I would find it disrespectful. Me personally.
let me put it this way. I will never go out somewhere and force a spirit to talk to me. If they want to speak to me, they will approach me. To me, if they're minding their own business, they're at rest. They don't want to speak to me, that is fine. That is their choice.
Is it kind of the comparison of like, whenever people say like, most of the time with like bees or wasps, people like, look, you don't bother them, they won't bother you.
And it gets down to sometimes some of them just don't want help.
Yeah.
If they wish to, sometimes it's just to tell their story, to let somebody know what happened to them. And that's where sometimes my heart breaks, is because I have experienced them like that. They will come up to me and tell me their story, how they died, how they lived. And sometimes it's incredibly sad. Other times it's happier. It comes down to the spirit. And to me, faking evidence can make a mockery of that connection.
For sure.
Because it's like, we can connect to you anytime, whether you like it or not. And that's not the case. You can go out and ask a spirit, are you here? Do you wish to speak? But demanding something of them is not okay. That's disrespect. And that's where you get into the what do you want to quantify as okay and not okay?
Yeah.
Because it comes down to what the spirit wants. And if you're making a mockery of their connection to the living, then it can really upset a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, it's up to the spirit. Sometimes it doesn't mess with them, sometimes it does, but still, faking evidence will make a mockery of their connection to the living world and the living world to them. And it doesn't always end good.
Amen to that. On a totally separate note, you have two identities.
I have two identities.
You have two identities.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about. You have the you, and then you have your other side.
My sassy side.
Ooh, your sassy side. I like that. So, tell us a little bit more about your sassy side. We see the serious median side, but let's put a little bit of that Z up in here.
That Z.
That Z in there. Let's put a little bit of that Z. You are a extremely funny guy, right? But most of the time, and it's like most people, unless you're gifted with it, most of us, whenever we're not trying to be funny, is whenever we're at our funniest.
Yeah, that's
Us playing video games has had a lot to do with that.
That's me in a nutshell. I am at my most funny when I am at my most funny when I am not trying to call.
No, so I mean, going back 10 minutes ago to our conversation, and they're at the table.
Oh my god.
I mean, we can't say anything about that because I'm pretty sure that's not appropriate for a podcast.
No, it's not.
But just those moments that we all click together is what combines us. And it is especially funny whenever you bring out your secondary side, and it's moreover whenever you get pissed off.
Okay, so when I'm overly tired or I am upset, I tend to go straight towards my sassy. This is just how I am.
Oh hell no side.
Exactly. The oh hell no side.
You forgot to snap.
No, that's who the hell does that.
Oh my god, that laugh.
But it happens a lot, and it only happens at the most random of times. Truck just went by the window.
Hello, trucker. So, let me tell you, I wasn't there for this conversation.
Oh god.
But I heard about it. Right. So your sister Emerald, my cousin, also predominantly my sister. You'll meet her. She's another one of the camera people. I think you'll actually meet her in the next podcast. I think we have her scheduled to be in the next one. But y'all were playing a video game. I'm not going to say what video game it was. It was just you and her, and y'all were fishing in this game, right?
Yes, we were fishing.
She says, and I quote, there's 45 minutes of just straight silence between you two. Because in a certain game, you can get fish, you can settle them for good money, and money's hard to come to find in this game. But the way it was explained to me is, after 45 minutes of straight silence, this man right here just says, you know that 2-cent hoe that you see on the side of the road every now and then? And you think, I'm going to just give her 3 cents just because? That's this fish.
Yeah.
And you pull the fish up out of the water as you're saying that. Now again, it's a lot funnier in the moment. And I think in the film that we just, in the investigation that we just filmed on this past Friday, I think you get a little bit into your sassy side, especially whenever we go over to the woods, right? I think you got into a little bit of your sassier side there. But actually going to that with what we found in the woods, whew, that was a humdinger. That was a humdinger right there. Like, so on Friday we went and we filmed. We're hoping that video is going to be out very soon, within probably the next week or so. We're hoping that video is going to be out for you guys. But you'll see kind of towards the end, and I think this is where your median side, like you were talking about, comes in. About how you don't approach them, they approach you.
Yes. Because,
just not to give any spoilers, you know what, I'm gonna give some teasers. I'm gonna tease you boys. I'm a naughty girl on the booze.
On the booze, huh?
Don't get me drunk. The last time I was drunk, I was hanging. I took 2 sips of a Smirnoff, guys. Please. I was hanging out of a sunroof, playing the song Sunroof with my shirt off, and I see this old lady sitting on her porch, just rocking peacefully on a nice June evening, and I say, "Hey, Grandma," and she says nothing back to me. And everyone is recording this entire thing, and I just start cussing this grandma like nobody's business. Like, you spider web pussy little book. I feel so bad.
You should.
I feel so bad. I did not mean to do it. I did not mean to do it.
I disagree with that. You whole ass meant to do it.
You shut your mouth. Anyways, so don't mix me with alcohol. How did we get on the subject of alcohol? Oh, I said I'm a naughty girl on the booze. Yeah, okay, so without the booze, I'm still a naughty girl. Naughty. Anyways, where were we at? I totally lost my train of thought with this entire thing of where we were at.
You lost me like 2 minutes ago.
I think we were. Oh yeah, we were in. We were on the road.
Yep,
that's where it was.
Yep.
So we were on the road, and we're gonna. Oh, I know, because I said I was gonna tease them. Mm-hmm. We give you some teases. So we're on this road, right? It's you, me, Christy. You'll meet Christy, and I think we have both Emerald and Christy scheduled for this next podcast.
I think we have all through.
And then Kelly's in there too. Anyways. We'll let y'all get to that later. But so we're at this dip of the road, and usually every other time we've came here, we go across this dip in the road, right? Mm-hmm. And we all get that uneasy feeling. That's when it starts. It's like you literally just take a switch and flip it. You can feel good. You can feel, ooh, this is going to be great. You go over that hump, and it is just automatically this tense feeling on your shoulders, right? Mm-hmm. So we go to this dip in the road. And it's me, Vandon, and Christy. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there and we're just kind of seeing what we do. We're doing what we do, honestly. We start asking questions. And then you get approached. Take it from there.
Okay, so...
Don't give all the facts of it. Again, we're teasing. Teasing.
So, I won't give the layout of the land, as you would say, but I get approached and I get warned about proceeding where we were heading. And then I'll end it at that because that's a great teaser. Cliffhanger, bitch.
Well, that's the cliffhanger for the day, guys. Great job. A+ work. They're gonna hate you. I don't.
I know.
Because I was there. But they're definitely gonna hate you for that.
Yeah.
But
when it comes to light, they're gonna like, ooh.
Ooh.
They're gonna be, damn, girl, you got it.
They're naughty girl on the booze, too. Are any of you naughty girls whenever you're on the booze? I'm just asking for a friend.
That friend has been to be you facing in the mirror.
Oh, that's cold. That's not nice.
Life's not nice.
You're a slut.
I know, I'm a damn good one.
When you go and you're on the side of the road stripping, they pay you to put your clothes back on.
Damn right, I make a fortune.
Why the hell aren't you paying for this?
Hey, please, I work hard for that money. How do you think about this outfit?
First of all, that outfit is so cute.
Thank you.
So cute.
It's custom made, don't you know?
Custom
Yes.
made.
Custom made Gasp. It's right over my breast.
If anybody wants any like merch, I mean, we'll evolve into getting merch.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
yeah.
We'll just have some random ass phrases on there too. Like you can have some. One of your phrases is going to be gasp, and then on the back, who the hell does that?
Mm-hmm.
That's another story for another time because I think that we're actually almost out of time for this episode, but I don't want this episode to end.
Probably,
but I don't want this episode to end. You and me have had so many great conversations.
Indeed.
So many stupid conversations.
I do stupid well.
You can't fix stupid.
No, but you can borrow it.
That was a great line. Respect it. Respect that line. Respect this man. I was trying to keep a straight face, but I couldn't do it. Okay, I think we're going to cut it with that before we say or do something that's going to be bad. Anyways, that was episode 2, guys. Look out for episode 3. We're filming it of the podcast this weekend of Gasp Gossip. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Peace.